The Rapture of the Saints. By the time Darby published The Hopes of the Church of God in 1840, he was clearly recognized as a leader among the Plymouth Brethren. Moreover, his beliefs concerning the future of the church in Israel, the Jews, were well on their way to becoming the accepted view of brethren everywhere. That gave him a solid base from which he could operate. So he traveled widely, visiting brethren groups in Europe, Canada, and the United States. Everywhere he went, he promoted his views on the future of Israel, the Jews, and the church. In 1845, not long after his new prophetic system gained ascendancy in the Brethren movement, Darby challenged B.W. Newton, the only other prominent leader among the Brethren, because Newton dared to disagree with one of his new doctrines. In that dispute, we can see Satan desperately striving to make sure that essential part of his deception remained alive and well. It is fairly easy to see from what Irenaeus and Hippolytus tell us that Satan certainly must not have been pleased when Newton adamantly rejected Darby's pre-tribulational rapture of the saints. He needs folks in our time to believe what Newton refused to believe, that the rapture could occur at any moment. Now I must give credit where credit is due. Darby believed the rapture of the church would occur shortly before the appearance of the Antichrist, yet dispensationalists stridently contend he did not get this doctrine from a group known as the Irvingites. It's interesting they should say that since Darby's dumb doctrine and that of the Irvingites are so obviously similar. The only other mention of a pre-tribulation rapture of the church before Edward Irving and his followers came up with it is a brief statement made by the premillennialist Joseph Meade in 1677. And his is not a full-blown doctrine. It's merely a conjecture he wrote in response to a question he received. One can easily understand the dispensationalists' aversion to being linked to the Irvingites. Those folks were absolute lunatics. They were heavily into receiving revelation by means of prophetic utterances given during their meetings. That practice most likely accounts for Edward Irving spreading the good news in 1825 that the members of his Catholic Apostolic Church would soon restrain the power of the Antichrist for 3.5 years before being martyred and ascending to heaven. He also stated his followers would then return with Christ in the clouds of glory at the end of the 3.5-year reign of the Antichrist. You can clearly see the doctrine of the pre-tribulational rapture of the saints in what Irving preached. But you can also see why any good evangelical Christian would not want to trace his or her beliefs back to that fanatic. Nonetheless, those who believe the pre-tribulational rapture goofiness may well have to if Darby, as it appears, merely modified a doctrine he borrowed from Edward Irving. Dispensationalists cannot deny that Darby had contacts with the Irvingites during prophetic conferences he attended in London during the 1830s. They nonetheless strongly deny he got the notion of an any-moment rapture of the church from them. However, I can't help wondering how they can be so sure of that when Irving's stupidity must have been the talk of London in his day. But all that doesn't matter much one way or the other. Satan has seen to it that Christians in our time have been so thoroughly indoctrinated into the belief that Jesus Christ could come at any moment that most will not stop to consider it might not be true. Fewer still will bother to seek the truth concerning the Antichrist in what Irenaeus and Hippolytus recorded for our benefit. Those two leaders of the early church tell us the church must endure the persecution of the Antichrist during the tribulation. They say true believers will be rescued only when Jesus Christ returns in the clouds of glory to destroy the Antichrist. The stupidity of Darby in rejecting what the early church fathers tell us is obvious when you consider the fact that Irenaeus taught Hippolytus things he learned from men who studied under the Apostle John. He says those men told him John had taught them things he heard Jesus Christ himself teach. So one must either believe what Irenaeus and these other men said, or else call them liars. I see no reason to do the latter. Therefore, I am left with the conclusion that what they say must be true. Look at it logically. If ignorant men today can hand down the doctrines of a dunce like Darby for 170 years, why would anyone deny that the early church fathers might have done exactly the same thing with the teaching of Jesus Christ? Especially when they tell us repeatedly that is what they were doing. I don't know about you, but frankly, I'd rather trust Irenaeus and Hippolytus than some fool Irishman who thought he could figure out the message of the Scriptures for himself. Not that I have anything against Irishmen, you understand. My great-grandfather was one. That's enough about Darby's goofy belief in the pre-tribulational rapture of the saints. I'm sure those who have no love of the truth the early church fathers understood can come up with some extremely good reasons for continuing to believe as they do. So let's grant that what the dispensationalists claim is true, and Darby did come up with his any-moment view of the rapture on his own. If that's true, the Irvingite incident only illustrates how badly Satan wanted that doctrine put in play. One can easily understand why that is. It is an integral part of the deception he has planned for the church here at the end. But enough of that. Let's get back to tracing how the dumb doctrines of Darby the dunce have become so widespread in the church today.